Hello there, and welcome to Morning Blend. I'm Rohan Siddhanti.
And I'm Vyomika Jha. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today, so let's get started.
We're going to start with something that happened a couple weeks ago, which was the state dinner between India and the United States.
I know this has been talked about a lot, but I really think this is important for our generation because, after all, we were a huge part about getting Obama elected. And
right, the youth, right.
Exactly. And the fact that this state dinner was essentially the start of the interactions between the U.S. and India during our generation.
Exactly. Definitely. And for that, I would say, I'm not trying to be the cynic or the skeptic, but I would say, as a realist, this was not how we're supposed to get off in terms of getting off on the right foot, in terms of Indian-U.S. relations. I think that it was all glitz and glamour. I think it was all show. If on the face of it, yeah, it was great. They had celebrities there. It was, but behind that, if you look behind the scenes, we'll see that really not much has gotten done. And
I can't help but disagree. To be honest, at the very basic, India has become a big partner with the U.S. I think there was no better way than to kick that off than to say, hey, big, bam, bada boom. India and America are both big lights, big action countries. And Bollywood, are you kidding me? There's no bigger way to say, we're here, we're excited, let's go.
India is a conservative country by nature, and look at the way we treated them when they came to state dinner. Michelle Obama flapping around in her strapless
beautiful dress. We're running away from the element that a state dinner is, at its very basic, a show for the administration. There are certain protocols, there are certain tradition and customs that go along with.
And we violated all of them. We didn't even have it in the proper state dinner house. We had it in the tents outside.
That's because they tried to have so many more people. The Obama administration wanted to incorporate, yes, the traditional elements of inviting the big donors and inviting, the people who have given you the most money, and incorporating the fact that the Indian delegation brings so much to the table. They brought so many more guests. The Indian delegation was a lot larger than it usually is in years past. And the fact that there are so many notable Indian Americans in the community in D.C. and nationally
which is why they had the dinner the next night at the U.S. Embassy.
They had both, absolutely. But it doesn't, I don't think the fact of having Hollywood actors and the fact that they had beautiful floral, arrangements and they had the musical elements and they had all of that detracted any more from saying that, hey, listen, this is a celebration, let's get it off to a good start.
We'll have to see where U.S.-India relations
go from there. Now, absolutely. And let's be honest, if they're doing policy at a state dinner, I would be worried. I'm saying that's a little bit too much work and not enough play. So you got to have a balance, and this was, I think, the perfect start to it.
Well, we'll see how things shape up, I guess, in the years to come.
Agreed.
Another topic with U.S.-India relations is climate change. And in the midst of the Copenhagen talks, it's pertinent to discuss sort of where those relations have come from and where we are now. The United States and India have a storied relationship dating back to, obviously, the Cold Wars recently in our minds, and how India was not aligned, and then later in the 80s, the United States sort of reached out to Pakistan and increasingly towards China, which, of course, India hates.
Did not appreciate.
And during the Bush administration, we reached out more towards Pakistan, and now the Obama presidency is campaigned on a platform of reaching out to China. So we're at an interesting stage in our relationship, and I would say that the relationship is based out of necessity. The United States has always looked at India as its possible stronghold in the East. And it's possible because it stands as a bastion for democracy.
Absolutely, largest democracy
exactly.
in the world. And
it stands there, and the United States look at India as hopefully we can use them, we see them, they have all this power, the natural resources, the intelligence, they have a large military, they have a lot of things. And the U.S. looks at them and says, we need to establish relations with them because we need a military sort of alliance, sort of base there. We need them to counter China.
Right.
We need their goods, the informations and services that they provide. They're the biggest service provider to us. We have the largest trade with them out of any other country. And it's a one-way street. Essentially, it's the U.S. just pulling India and using the best that India has to offer. The United States, we've taken their best and brightest entrepreneurs, and they came here. That's what the 80s was.
Right.
We started to take their clothing now. And everything we do is just we take from India.
Yeah,
and I'd say it's out of necessity that now we're just happen to give them this nuclear proliferation treaty and we throw them a bone. Otherwise, that's all it is.
I'm not really seeing it as much. I mean, I agree with the fact that India could definitely be a stable partner in a pretty unstable part of the world, for all intents and purposes, politically speaking.
Pakistan,
Bangladesh, China likes us one minute, doesn't like us the next minute. Yeah. So it's up and down, and I feel like the U.S. definitely sees India as a stable partner there. However, I can't help but think that India has a lot to offer. India brings a lot to the table, resources-wise, technologically, intellectually, and it's a very pragmatic country to deal with. So I I can't see it being, all right, you know what, we have to, it's inevitable, and therefore we're going to do it. Because India is not going to be shoved around. We are seeing with all of this climate talks that's going on, India refuses to deal and to be subjected to sanctions that the rest of the developing world, so to speak, has imposed on them, because they're saying, listen, we embrace the fact that we're a developing country, and yet we've got a lot to bring that you as developing countries did not have. All I'm saying is that I don't necessarily see that India has to be the secondary opinion at the table. The Copenhagen talks that are ongoing right now are an emerging sign that India is not only an international player, but the fact that India and the